Okay, let's look at this problem. It says the outside temperature over a day can be modeled as a sinusoidal function. Suppose you know that the temperature is 65 degrees at midnight and the high and low temperatures during the day are 72 and 58 degrees respectively. Assume that T is the number of hours since midnight. Find an equation for the temperature, D in terms of T. Okay. Think about a coordinate point. You're beginning at midnight, which is your beginning point where your time is supposedly 0. You are up at 65. So that's that point right there. Okay, you reach a maximum of 72 and a minimum of 58. So I figured all this before I came up with that equation over there. So I add the maximum and the minimum and I divide it by 2. And that gave me 65. So that 0, 65, and 65 tells me that the graph is starting at the center line. And when we start at the center line like this, generally we write it as a sine graph. So I'm going to use a negative sign because the temperature usually goes down before it goes up. After midnight, the temperature is still continuing to go down, and then it goes back up during the day. And we reached a minimum. The temperature here, the minimum is 58. The maximum here is 72. Okay, so the period. Well, it's a 24-hour cycle. 24 hours in a day. So put 2 pi over 24, you get pi over 12. And I've explained the temperature going down and back up. Use the basic formula for the equation that we have, where A is our amplitude, which was 7. B is dealing with the period. B is 2 pi over the period, or the period is 2 pi over B. So B ended up being pi over 12 because we put 2 pi over 24 and we reduced it down to pi over 12. And then the center line we found to be 65, and there is no phase shift, so D basically is 0. So Y equals, now we said we needed to write it as a negative graph, negative 7 sine pi over 2x plus 65. Then, since the problem wanted this D of t in terms of time using t as a variable, Y was D of t, where I have x, I came back and put in a t. I graphed it over here using x and y, and you can see at 0, it's 65, it reaches a minimum of 58 and a maximum of 72. I hope this helps.